The sheriff's office says a mother tried to drown her 3 children. The youngest is just 6 years old. Deputies say all 4 were found unconscious next to a pond on the family's property near FM 1008 in Dayton.
Seeing everything that we've been faced with today.
We are following a shocking mystery that's taken place on this massive property in Texas. That video per Fox 26 in Houston. A mom is being investigated for allegedly trying to drown her 3 children in a pond, possibly after she drugged them with NyQuil.
What's up, Fugitive TV? We are back, and I'm your host, Ray Marcel. And today, we're going to talk about a bizarre situation that everybody's trying to figure out what happened. This took place in Liberty County, which is a little bit outside of Houston, Texas. Now, it's about a father who called 911 saying that the mother tried to drown the children, okay? The mother tried to drown the children. Now, the reports, a lot of them are conflicting. And I mean, it could be for obvious reasons because of conflict of the story. Now, at first, the report was he said he called 911, right? And that the mom tried to poison the kids with NyQuil and alcohol mixed together.
You're going to have 4 kids ovulating on NyQuil, multiple bottles on scene. Be advised, we have patient updates. You're going to have an underage female, unconscious but breathing. She jumped into the water after her kids that were fucked at the time.
So it does appear that when this call first came in, deputies and dispatchers believed that this could be a case where the children came in contact with NyQuil in some capacity and the mom jumped in after the kids. The deputies say it was the father of the children who called 911.
He stated he heard some commotion in the front yard, possibly yelling from the kids. The father comes outside, calls 911, and it's our belief that the father is the one that pulled some of the kids out of the water.
Now, there's a pond right by their house. Now, take a look at this house and look at this property, okay? This house is humongous. This house is supposed to be worth $4.5 million with all the land that's included with it. And then you see a pond next to it. So supposedly, the mom had the kids out by the pond, tried to poison them, is what the first report was saying. And then he claims that the mom tried to drown the kids. Now, when the police showed up, he just pulled all the kids out of the pond. They were still wet and everything else, but the mom was still in the pond. They had to pull the mom out. 2 of the kids are in stable condition. 1 was in critical and the mom was in critical. But I believe now they're in stable because this happened about 2 or 3 days ago.
This is an active investigation. We've had investigators down at Memorial Hermann. We've got investigators behind us. We have conducted a search of the house, the residence. There's numerous locations on the house that we're around the house that we're looking at, looking for any kind of evidence that we can find that would lead us to why this tragic event happened today.
Now, the Liberty County Sheriff's Office gave that news conference right outside the home's front gate. It reads Rancho Monte Carlo. Now, it is still unclear at the time of this recording who the people are who live in this home. But again, we're talking about a mom who allegedly poisoned an 11-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 15-year-old. Now, the Sheriff's Office was asked about NyQuil because that radio chatter made it into several news articles. And here's what he said.
We are investigating that aspect to see if there was any type of alcohol or any type of NyQuil included in this event. In reference to yours, ma'am, the ages, we have a 15-year-old female, we have an 11-year-old female, we have a 6-year-old male. The 11-year-old female is in critical condition at Hermann Hospital. She is in critical care unit. The mother is in critical condition, and I do not have her age right now, I'm sorry.
So you're asking yourself this question, right? So if the father called 911 and the mom, he says the mom did this, then the mom has to be going to jail, right? Well, no. Let's back this up. So far, right now, the police don't even know what's going on, all right? They think there's a hole in the father's story. And not only that, I think there's a hole in the mother's story. The father, his name is Domingo Quintana, and he's 61 years old. Now, there's 3 children. The youngest is 6 years old, okay? Second youngest is 11. Then there's a 15-year-old. So, pardon me, but how can the mom take a 6, 11, and a 15-year-old out to the pond and try and drown them all three at the same time, and they all almost end up ending their life. I just, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. Now I can see if there were, let's say, you know, toddlers, all three of them, 2, 3, and 4, and a newborn. I could see that. But you have a whole 15-year-old, and then you have an 11-year-old on top of that. So you have one mom trying to drown a 15 and 11-year-old, and then the 6-year-old. And then she's supposed to be giving them NyQuil and alcohol. That doesn't make sense. I've had NyQuil plenty of times. I can name plenty of times I probably had Robitussin and alcohol not mixed together, but out drinking. Oh, let me take some Robitussin. Now I want to cough everywhere. And it never made me not want to go jump in the pond and try and, you know, unalive it doesn't make no sense. So I don't get that. Now, the father was never arrested on these charges, right? They took him in from questioning and then they released him. But then they turned around and arrested him, but not on what you think they arrested him on. They arrested him on animal cruelty.
Just 15 minutes ago, we learned the father in this case was arrested today. He's facing an animal cruelty charge that is unrelated to the drownings. He is currently sitting in Liberty County Jail.
There's still so much we don't know in this story. But you have the dad in this case, and he's the one who called 911. I think of the story he's telling just sounds very traumatic of from what he says, his wife potentially trying to harm his kids. But then he gets hit with this misdemeanor animal cruelty charge, which I understand, like animal cruelty is a very, you know, it's an important thing you have to prosecute. But to do it within 24 hours of all of this happening, what do you make of that decision by law enforcement?
Yeah, so I can understand at face value that does kind of strike somebody as that's a little odd that you would arrest a dad for a misdemeanor charge for animal cruelty when he just saved his children. So I get that. But if I'm putting myself in the lens of a cop or in law enforcement that went to that scene, I would venture to say that they looked at everything as a totality. So what does the conditions of the house look like? I'm sure that told a telling picture of how these kids were living. And so I think that based on all of that big picture, it was a way for them to also place the father in custody. And I'm sure they're still pending whether or not he's involved in the, you know, child neglect or whatever issues that were going on at home with those kids. But I can't picture a law enforcement showing up to this house after him rescuing these kids. He had no involvement in that per se, and then arresting him for this cat. So I think clearly there's a lot more to this story that they're just not releasing at this time.
Animal cruelty is what they arrested him on. He got arrested on mistreating a cat. During their investigation, when they're in the house, they found a cat that was locked inside of a room somewhere in that big old house. They probably forgot the cat was there because the house is so big. But there was a cat in a house somewhere in a room, and the cat had no water and no food. And it said the cat was pretty much almost starving to death. So they arrested him on that charge, took him into jail. Now, he wasn't in jail long. He did bond out. But you know how much his bond was for that? I believe it's a misdemeanor in Texas. I'm going to look that up. I believe it's a misdemeanor. But $5,000 was his bond. $5,000. There
has been released from jail on an unrelated charge. Domingo Quintana was arrested yesterday on an animal cruelty charge, but walked out of the jail earlier today. We were here waiting for him and had a few questions.
Domingo, what can you tell us, sir? Domingo, can you talk to us? Do you have anything to say? What happened, Mr. Quintana? Excuse me, can you please tell us what happened? Anything you want to say about your wife and your children? Quintana.
Domingo Quintana was gone seconds after his release. He wouldn't comment on his wife and children, but we got an update from the Liberty County Sheriff's Office.
Have you ever seen a report where something like this happened and then they come back and arrest him for mistreating a cat or her for mistreating an animal? I've never seen that before, but they arrested him. Now, I'm thinking maybe they arrested him to try to, let's say, use it as an excuse to hold him in there a little longer, to make him sweat it out, maybe think they can get some more answers out of him. Now, the kids are taken away. They did take the kids away. The CPS has stepped in and took the kids away.
First tonight, we have breaking news. Just in the last few minutes, we have learned Child Protective Services is going to take custody of the 3 Liberty County children rescued from a pond outside their home early Monday morning. Police are investigating what appears to be an attempted drowning after they say the children's father called 911 yesterday, reporting he'd rescued the kids from the water with their mother still in the pond. Authorities not providing any further details on exactly what happened. And it's not clear if the children are out of the hospital, but CPS says the children will be placed in foster care.
And the kids are going to be placed in foster homes now. And usually when they do that, they're saying that both of the parents are unfit. Think about this. A lot of times before CPS will come in, they will try and see if there's a family member that can take the kids, right? Grandparent. Or they would say, okay, well, the mom tried to unalive them, we'll give them to the dad. Well, no, that's not this case. They took all kids away and going to put them in foster homes. So, they're interrogating these kids and they're asking these kids questions. So I'm wondering what these kids are saying. What exactly are they saying? Now, I know you guys have questions of like, whoa, how much? They're in a $4.5 million house. What is he doing for a living? Well, Domingo, nobody knows. Nobody knows what this man's doing for a living. There was a rumor that he sold cars. I sold cars for a few years. I ain't met one salesperson buying a $4.5 million house selling cars. Now, maybe if you're the general manager of the car dealership, and it better be a car dealership, maybe if you're him, but you're just a car salesman, it ain't happening. So, and you can make some good money selling cars for you people out there, but you're not buying a $4.5 million house off of just selling some cars. It ain't happening no. You better be working and not going to sleep and working 24/7. So they don't even know what this man is doing. All right. So like I said, the reports are conflicting. Now, I did do a little bit of digging because I'm trying to figure out who this guy is. And on one of the news reports, one out of all the 50 I seen, one talks about the family is having financial issues.
And again, we are learning more about Quintana tonight. Court records show us he's named in multiple civil lawsuits, including cases alleging he owes tens of thousands of dollars in property taxes in Liberty County. And in Harris, he was accused of failing to pay hundreds of thousands to contractors for work on their property known as Rancho Monte Carmelo.
Supposedly, he owes the contractor, I guess, who built his house. He still owes him money. And the contractor has a lien on the home. And then not only that, something else that the news didn't talk about that I found was he owes back taxes. He owes I think it was 2022, 2023, and 2024 of back taxes. All right, so let's take a look at the taxes that he owes. So 2022, he owed $48,092.49. 2023, he owed $43,017.17. 2024, he owed $40,417.75 in back taxes. And I believe this is on his property. Yes, property tax is what it says. So he owes money. So, and I'm not talking about a little bit of amount. He owes about $130K in back taxes. All right. So what is this guy doing to owe this much in taxes, not pay the money, and get this home built and not pay the contractor? They didn't say if he didn't pay him all his money, but still not finish paying him, and the contractor has a lien on the house. And not only that, there's also a lawsuit on the property or the estate against him. So there's a bunch of financial issues going on. Now, I did find out that the mother, the wife, her name is Jessica Quintana. Since they're not telling us, her name is Jessica Quintana. Now, I did find this right here. This is through Gawk on X. He does a lot of investigation. Basically, he's saying Domingo Quintana is named in at least 2 civil lawsuits, a 2017 fraud case in Harris County, and a contract dispute, which would correlate with what I told you guys earlier with the financial situations. News reports ID the mother as Jessica Quintana. And then not only that, but public records also associate Domingo with Naomi Gonzalez, who could possibly be a spouse. Once I found out, I started thinking, a couple things here. Do all the people in the house have, do they have life insurance on them? Start thinking about that right away. Does the wife have a life insurance policy? Do the kids have life insurance policy? I'm not saying Domingo did it, but it makes you wonder. If he owes all this money back on this $4.5 million home that was constructed, $130K in back taxes, Do any of these people in the house have life insurance policies? Now, when the cops got there, they did say that he pulled the kids out the water. They were soaking wet, but the wife was still in there and they had to jump in there and get her. And that's why she's such in bad condition. Was he trying to make it look like an accident? I'm going to save the kids, but let the wife go? You know, it just makes you wonder. There's a lot of stories out there that about, you know, the father terminating his family over money that's owed. There's a lot of them out there. Just Google it. It happens all the time. Financial situations will make a person do some tragic things. And I also was thinking of in Texas, he's Latino. He's buying a $4.5 million house out in the country, out in the middle of nowhere. It says drug related. Is the cartels involved? It just makes you think and wonder. I mean, I really don't think that it happened the way it happened. I don't think that the mom tried to terminate all 3 kids, drug them with NyQuil and alcohol, and they all of a sudden, let's all go in the pond and let's all drown. I don't, and then supposedly he heard screams and he called 911. I don't believe that's the way that happened. All right. It doesn't happen that way. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Have y'all heard of this situation or this case? Hey, have you heard anybody getting arrested on the animal cruelty charge after all that happened? Not me. But this is Fugitive TV. Please like, subscribe, comment anything you want. If I missed something, if you know about this case, if you know these people, if you know a case I should cover, let me know. Fugitive TV, I'm out.